So we finally reached the end game. NHL 26 releases next week, so this is going to be my final video on NHL 25. And last week I did a video where I built a team using the best players under 25 years old. Well, today I'm going to do the opposite. We're going to find the best players older than 34 years old, and we're going to win a Stanley Cup with them. And in order to add these NHL players to our team, we're going to have to spin the wheel of NHL old heads. Yes, I'm getting a little bit disrespectful. Now in reality, the wheel of NHL old heads is just the wheel of NHL teams, but we got to show these older players, some of these guys who have been around the league for an incredibly long time. We're starting off with the Toronto Maple Leafs, and I already know who we're selecting, and it's probably not the player you're thinking of, but it also very well could be. Now, for the first time in history, when we're selecting our first player, we're actually not going to be taking them from the NHL. Instead, we have to head to the Toronto Marlies because we have to find my man Ryan Reaves. Ryan Reaves is going to be the first player brought to the team. We got to put a bit more respect on this man's name because right now he is 38 years old. He has played 15 seasons in the NHL. Like, out of all players to play 15 years in the NHL, how is Ryan Reaves one of these players? Like, this man has found a way to stay in the NHL for an incredibly long time. He recently signed with the Vegas Golden Knights, so he's coming back for year 16. Now, we got to put a little bit of respect on his name. 75 overall Ryan Reaves, you're the first player we're going with. Now, just for a bit of context, Ryan Reaves was selected during the 2005 draft. There is 7 active players left from that draft. Here are the players that are left: Sidney Crosby, Jack Johnson, Anze Kopitar, Marc-Edouard Vlasic, Chris Letang, Jonathan Quick, and Ryan Reaves. Respectfully, Ryan Reaves isn't like any of the other players left on this list. This man has defied the odds and somehow stuck around in the NHL until the year 2025. Say what you want about Ryan Reaves, he's found a role in the NHL and he's sticking around. But while we go lose every game here, because respectfully, Ryan Reaves, we're not going to win any games with you. We're going to be lucky if you even take a shot on net. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're trying to hit 86K by the beginning of NHL 26, and that's just a week away. So if you haven't already, hit the button down below and drop a like while you're at it. Now, I know you're going to be absolutely stunned here, but the Compton Cash Money team was not able to score any goals this season. 0-82. Yeah, we didn't see a lot of success here. And that's wild for the Cash Money team because, as we know, Cash Money is always about getting their money. They're always about finishing at the very top. Cash Money Mark, he doesn't know what number 2 is. If you know, you know. You gotta know about the Cash Money team. Eric Cartman, he was allowing a lot of goals. So was Ricky Lafleur, but that's not a surprise here. We're surrounded with 0 overalls outside of Ryan Reaves. The Dallas Stars are going to be winning the Stanley Cup, taking down the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Cash Money team's ready to get back. They don't finish last. I am really hoping there's people that understand the Cash Money Mark reference. If you don't, you got to educate yourself. Cash Money Mark is one of one, the greatest of all time. We're landing on the Florida Panthers, and this is actually perfect because we're going to be getting our goaltender very early in the video. Now, it's actually kind of funny. Like, most of the time I'm complaining that we don't have a goaltender, but we're actually getting a goaltender very early in the video. Sergei Bobrovsky, welcome to the team. I'm not really contemplating any other option because we need a goaltender here, and when you get a chance to bring 88 overall Sergei Bobrovsky to the team, you don't overlook a guy like him. Now, we might only have one forward on the team in Ryan Reaves, but that's perfectly fine because we have 88 overall Sergei Bobrovsky. We're definitely going to be allowing less goals this season, but how many less, I'm not really too sure, because at the end of the day, it's basically all 0 overalls except for Sergei Bobrovsky and Ryan Reaves, so this team's not going to really do too much defending in front of Bobrovsky. Now, unfortunately, it looks like the game's going to be freezing just 46 games in, but there is one thing I want to point out. Notice that last game we played against the Detroit Red Wings where we lost 2-0. If we bring another forward to the team and are able to score a couple goals, we actually might be able to get an overtime loss with only 3 players on the team. We would have to get incredibly lucky for that to happen, but it is possible. Like, what can I say? I definitely wasn't expecting 3 spins in we would actually have a chance at making it to an overtime game, but here we are. The Dallas Stars is going to be the next team we're selecting from. We're going with either Tyler Seguin or Jamie Benn here. Unless there's somebody I'm completely overlooking, but those 2 guys are definitely going to be at the top when it comes to overall. So I think Tyler Seguin and Jamie Benn are going to be the top options here. Like, Mikko Rantanen's definitely not older than 34 years old. Neither is Jake Onger, but hold on, I completely overlooked Matt Duchene. Matt Duchene, he's not over 34 years old though. He's only 33. He would have just turned 34 last season, so we actually can't go with him. Mikael Granlund though, he's only 32. Okay, why did I think he was older than that? Let's keep this simple. We're going with either Tyler Seguin or Jamie Benn. Tyler Seguin's only 32. Why did I think Tyler Seguin was way older than that? Jamie Benn, how old are you? You're 35. Okay, we're going with Jamie Benn here. But yeah, Tyler Seguin, I thought you were way older than that. Granted, you've been in the league for quite a long time now. Like, you debuted back in 2010. Time flies, I guess. I was thinking you were way older than 32 years old. Yeah, Tyler Seguin, we can't go with you. You're not old enough here. We're going with Jamie Benn instead. Now, although we don't have a true centerman on the team, Jamie Benn's going to be taking a majority of the faceoffs. He has an 86 faceoff rating, so I think we'll be okay with him. Him and Ryan Reeves on the top line might be able to record a shot this season. They might even be able to score a goal, and if we can somehow score one goal, we might have a chance at making it to overtime. If we make it to overtime with Sergei Bobrovsky, Jamie Benn, and Ryan Reeves, that is absolutely crazy, and whichever team can't beat us in regulation, they have to relocate unless it's the St. Louis Blues, because it very likely will be the St. Louis Blues because this game hates St. Louis. I'm sorry, but ain't no way this game is freezing after the first game of the season, and in the first game of the season, we lost to St. Louis 2-0. If we had scored a goal in the first game of the season, we could have almost gone to overtime against St. Louis, because I'm assuming the second goal they scored was an empty netter. So if we had scored in this game, the game would have been tied and we would have went to overtime. No, that's wild. No, the fact that we almost went to overtime in the very first game of the season's wild. We're going to be landing on the Calgary Flames, and when it comes to 34-year-olds on the Calgary Flames, I think Backlund might be the only player we can really select. So we're going to be going with Backlund, 83 overall. He's 36 years old right now. Honestly, this isn't a terrible pickup because at least we're getting a centerman. Now, last season, there was a slight possibility that we can make it to overtime and potentially get an OT loss. Well, this season we actually have a better chance because we're adding 83 overall Backlund to the team. Anything's possible this season, but realistically, if we do want to lose a game in overtime, we have to make it to the end of the season first. Now, I guess we don't have to worry about the game freezing because the game's just going to be straight up crashing. So yeah, I guess we better not waste any more time here. Let's go spin the wheel. As of right now, this video is about to be recorded at record speeds based on how much it's crashed and freeze so far. We're landing on the Ottawa Senators, and as long as Claude Giroux is older than 34 years old, which I believe he is, he's going to be the guy we're adding to the team. If Claude Giroux isn't older than 34 years old, I gotta lock in. Now, Claude Giroux, I'm very confident in you being over 34 years old. I can almost guarantee it. I actually can guarantee it. 86 overall Claude Giroux, welcome to the team. Currently 37 years old. He's an 86 overall. He's going to play some top line minutes. He's going to be replacing Ryan Reeves on the top line. As long as we get through a season here, I think we're looking at an OT loss. The only problem is we can't get through the regular season. We can barely get through the first week. Now, as much as I can gas up this team talking about a potential overtime loss, we have to get through the season. Just don't crash and don't freeze on me. Now, there was a handful of close games this season, but unfortunately in none of those games were we able to get to overtime. We're going 0-82 once again, but we did pick up 42 goals, so that's a great sign. We also only allowed 611. That is way better than season number 1. Backlund's going to be leading the way. He's picking up 39 points. Jamie Benn's coming in second. He's got 35. Claude Giroux is picking up 35 as well. Ryan Reeves got outscored by 0 overall Kaz Kalankis. We will just leave it at that. Ryan Reeves also picked up 220 penalty minutes. Bro was just out there fighting. Sergei Bobrovsky, a 903 and a 586. These numbers actually aren't bad. I thought they were going to be way worse than this. Ricky Lafleur was definitely the guy holding us back here, but we're not going to worry about that. The cash money team's going to see success eventually. We just need a few more number 1 overall picks. The Carolina Hurricanes, Stanley Cup champions. Let's go get one of the top players. So we've built a pretty solid team so far, but I think we could really use a defenseman here. The Buffalo Sabres aren't giving us anything good. We already know for a fact we're not walking away with a superstar from the Buffalo Sabres. They're one of the youngest teams in the league. I think the oldest player they might have on the team is Jason Zucker, and I don't think he's 35. Now, when I was thinking about the Buffalo Sabres, Jason Zucker was coming to mind here as the oldest player on the team. And he is one of the oldest players on the team. Don't get me wrong. He's 32 years old. However, there is one player on the Buffalo Sabres that is over 34 years old, and that is James Reimer. So we're completing our goaltending tandem here. It's going to be Sergei Bobrovsky and James Reimer. Did I expect to see James Reimer in this video? Absolutely not. But here we are. James Reimer, welcome to the team. Now, this might be the earliest I've ever had a complete goaltending tandem. Sergei Bobrovsky, James Reimer, both of you guys are going to be holding it down for me. We're only 6 spins in and we already have both of our goaltenders. We're off to a great start. Okay, this is beyond ridiculous. 33 games in and the game is freezing. We've added 6 players to the team. There's no reason the game should be freezing. I'm not gonna lie, this is a wild way to go out for our final NHL 25 video. The game just constantly freezing. The Detroit Red Wings are gonna be giving us Patrick Kane, so that's definitely a great player we can work with. Nothing more has to be said. We're going with Patrick Kane. So although the Detroit Red Wings are in the middle of a rebuild right now, they do still have some older players on the team. One of those players being Patrick Kane, 86 overall. He's definitely gonna be a great help to our team, but I think we have enough playmakers. We gotta start bringing in some snipers. So we've added 5 forwards to the team, and and 2 goaltenders, but there's one thing that we haven't added yet, a defenseman. We probably should start focusing on that a little bit, because if we don't bring in any defenseman, we're not going to see any success. Obviously, it has to be a defenseman within reason. Like if I land on the Pittsburgh Penguins, I'm not taking Erik Karlsson or Chris Letang over Sidney Crosby. That's not happening. We scored 8 less goals. That's the only thing I have to say here. We scored 8 less goals this season. We added Patrick Kane to the team, and we scored 8 less goals. Nah, what are we doing here? So Patrick Kane wasn't enough to save us, but maybe a defenseman could be. We're going to be landing on the New York Rangers. We might not be going with a defenseman anymore. So on top of not getting a defenseman from the New York Rangers, we're actually not going to be walking away with a player, because the only player older than 34 years old is Jonathan Quick, but we already have 2 goaltenders here. We have James Reimer, we have Sergei Bobrovsky, so we're not going to be adding a player from the New York Rangers, but instead we're going to be spinning the wheel again. Like, we can't be doubling up on goaltenders this early in the video. We got to complete the rest of the team. The Edmonton Oilers will definitely have some players over 34 years old. Corey Perry is one of them, but I think Mattias Ekholm might be over 34 as well. So let's quickly head over to the Edmonton Oilers and take a look at Mattias Ekholm. He just turned 35 last season, so he's going to fit the criteria. 87 overall Mattias Ekholm is going to be a great help for this team. Now we finally have our first defenseman on the team. 87 overall Mattias Ekholm is going to have to play a huge role right now, because we have no other defenseman other than him. I'm going to basically need bro on the ice 24/7. Now for the longest time, I've been waiting for an overtime loss, but who needs an overtime loss when you can shut out the Utah Hockey Club? We're going to be beating this team 1-0. Mattias Ekholm was the difference. All we needed was one defenseman, and with that one defenseman, we're going to be winning a game here. Not an overtime loss, but we're actually winning a game, and it's going to be in a shutout. There's one thing we have to do before we simulate any more games here. I have to look at this team's stats, because I need to know who the starting goaltender was. I am 99% sure it was Sergei Bobrovsky, but it would be really funny if it was actually James Reimer picking up the win, and it's not going to be James Reimer. No surprise here, Sergei Bobrovsky was the guy. I just had to double check to see if it was James Reimer, because if it was, that would have been really funny. Now on top of us winning our first game this season, we're also going to be losing in a shootout to the Chicago Blackhawks, so we're picking up 3 points this season, only 71 points back to the Columbus Blue Jackets. That means we're just a couple players away. And when I say a couple players away, I mean at least 15. Claude Giroux 36 points, Patrick Kane 34 points, Jamie Benn 28, Mattias Ekholm is a big help. He's picking up 11 points here. And then when it comes to goaltending, we know Sergei Bobrovsky's the guy for us. 1 shutout, a 903 and a 540. Without Sergei Bobrovsky, we're definitely not winning a game this season. We're definitely not doing it in a shutout. The Montreal Canadiens are going to be Stanley Cup champions, as they're going to be taking down the Colorado Avalanche. So we've added one defenseman to the team, but you know what? I think another defenseman would be really helpful here, but that's not who we're going to be walking away with. But instead, we're going to be walking away with our first sniper, Jordan Eberle. We could use your abilities here. So unless I completely overlook somebody on the Seattle Kraken, we're likely going to be going with Jordan Eberle here. Chandler Stevenson, I don't believe you're 35 years old. I'm actually very confident you're not. Jordan Eberle, you would have turned 35 years old last season. You're an 85 overall as well. You're going to be the first sniper we bring in here. I'm going to need you to play some big minutes for us. Now, since we finally have a sniper, I think it makes sense to utilize them on the top line. So Jordan Eberle, you're actually going to be playing over Patrick Kane. He's going to be moving down to the second line to give us a bit more depth. At the end of the day, we still have a 0 overall bottom 6 and 5-0 overall defenseman. So we're not going to see a ton of success regardless of what the lineup looks like. So with every additional player we add to the team, we're just going to keep on getting better. The Cash Money team is now winning 3 games this season. 2 of those wins coming in regulation. We're scoring 63 goals this season. There's a lot of things to celebrate around here. Claude Giroux is going to be leading the way. He's picking up 39 points. Jordan Eberle 36 points, including 13 goals. Jamie Benn 30 points. Patty Kane 24. We're getting a bit more support on our second line, and we're also getting more support from this man right here, Sergei Bobrovsky, but also James Reimer, as he's going to be picking up a win this season. Nah, there was nothing about winning going on this season. I'm happy to say the Cash Money team is taking steps in the right direction. The Edmonton Oilers are going to be Stanley Cup champions. There were certainly a lot of surprises this season. Now, I really can't complain with what's been going on. Like, we've been adding a lot of great players to the team. We've been adding a lot of players that we need, and I think we're going to be adding another player of need right now. Now, the Minnesota Wild certainly have a ton of great players to select from. However, we need a player over 34 years old. And who fits that criteria perfectly? Jared Spurgeon, 87 overall. He's going to be a great defenseman to add here. Our team's really shaping up. Like, I like every player we've brought to the team so far. We've been filling all of our needs. So Mattias Ekholm's finally going to have a defensive partner here, being 87 overall Jared Spurgeon. I think we could potentially be looking at 5 wins this season. We're finally going to have a complete lineup of all NHL players. It's going to be Jamie Benn, Claude Giroux, and Jordan Eberle on the ice together, and then they're going to be alongside Mattias Ekholm and Jared Spurgeon. Yeah, you have to give me 5 wins at the very minimum. Now, the boys were absolutely flying this season. We're going to be winning 6 games, 1 loss in OT, but surprisingly only one of our wins is coming in regulation, so we're actually taking a little bit of a step back there. But in saying that, we were over a goal per game, so we can celebrate that. We're not going to worry about the negatives here when there's so many positives. Patrick Kane 50 points, Claude Giroux 44 points, Jamie Benn 39 points. The boys are rolling here. Sergei Bobrovsky's picking up another shutout. Everything's good with the Cash Money team right now. We're just going to keep on winning around here because that's what the Cash Money team does. The Dallas Stars are going to be winning the Stanley Cup, taking down the Tampa Bay Lightning. Let's keep on winning here and add another player to the team. Now I think it's about time we bring in a superstar. So give me Sidney Crosby or give me Alexander Ovechkin. The Chicago Blackhawks definitely aren't going to have a superstar for us. I think Nick Foligno might turn out to be one of the best options. So Nick Foligno, I do believe you're actually the best option we can go with here. I can't think of anyone else on Chicago that's going to be over 35 years old and better than you. So Nick Foligno, I don't know what overall you are. I think you're like an 81. I kind of hope you're an 81. Like technically we could go with TJ Brody, but I'd rather not go with TJ Brody. Nick Foligno, we're going to be going with you here. 82 overall. You're just going to be playing some fourth line minutes for me, so I'm not too concerned with your overall. So with Nick Foligno joining the team, he's going to be jumping onto the second line immediately here. He's going to be with Backlund and Patrick Kane. That's going to be a decent enough second line for now, but we are going to have to improve it in the future. Now the Cash Money team just keeps on winning here. That's what they're known for. The Cash Money team doesn't lose. This team only wins. 7 victories this season, 74 losses. We'll pretend those didn't happen. 108 goals. The team's looking great right now. Claude Giroux, 55 points. He's going to be leading the way. He's actually going to be tied with Jordan Eberle though, because he's also going to have 55 points, while Jamie Benn's going to be picking up 48. And then when it comes to goaltending, James Reimer, 5 wins this season. I was sleeping on bro. James Reimer had more wins than Sergei Bobrovsky, and he only played 29 games to his 62. What is going on in the universe right now? Why is James Reimer outperforming Sergei Bobrovsky? Never thought I'd see the day. The Colorado Avalanche are going to win the Stanley Cup, but that really just happened. Like, we really saw that man, James Reimer, outperform Sergei Bobrovsky. I never thought I'd see the day. The Utah Hockey Club are going to be the next team we're selecting from. I don't think we're going to be walking away with the superstar here. I think we're just going to be getting a role player. Now, there's 2 different defensive defensemen we can go with. We can either go with Ian Cole, who's currently 36 years old, or we can go with Robert Bertuzzo. He's 36 as well, but he's a St. Louis Blues legend, so because of that, we're going with Robert Bertuzzo. I don't care if he's 1 overall lower than Ian Cole. He's a St. Louis Blues legend. We're bringing him to the team because of that. Now, Robert Bertuzzo, I'm going to be honest, I don't expect too much from you this season because you're playing alongside Trevor Corey. Trevor's the third pairing defenseman, so he might be on the ice with you as well. I've met cats and dogs smarter than these 2 guys right here. So yeah, expectations are low for you since you don't really have a partner. Now, with every new player we add to the team, we're looking at an additional win. 8 wins this season. If we keep up this pace, it's going to take a very long time to get to the end of the season, because if we keep adding 1 win for every player, yeah, we're going to be here for a hot minute. Claude Giroux, Jordan Eberle, Jamie Benn, you guys continue to do your things here. When it comes to goaltending, Sergei Bobrovsky's back as the top man. James Reimer isn't even going to be picking up a single win for me this season. If he was able to pick up at least 2 wins, we would have been looking at 10, but I guess it's not the case this season. The Winnipeg Jets are Stanley Cup champions. Let's go bring in another great player. So we still have a lot of teams left on this wheel, and which is going to be the next team we're landing on? That's going to be the New York Islanders. Now, although the New York Islanders are an older team here, I don't think their team's old enough where a majority of their players are actually over 34. I think Kyle Palmieri is going to be one of the oldest players here. Outside of him, a majority of the team is around the 30 to 33-year-old range. Now, with us having multiple different players that we could select here, I think we just keep it really simple here and go with the highest rated player. That's going to be Anders Lee, currently sitting at 85 overall. He's immediately going to be jumping into a top 6 role, so he's going to be helping us a ton, and he might even help us win 10 games this season. So Anders Lee is going to be moving on to the second line. We're moving Nick Foligno down to the third line. He's going to play some center minutes alongside Ryan Reeves and Big Les, so we're 1 more forward away from completing our top 9, and that kind of concerns me a little bit. Like, we've almost completed our top 9, and we still haven't reached 10 wins. Well, we haven't reached 10 wins until this season right here. If y'all somehow let me down and only win 5 games this season, we're going to have a problem. Now, the Cash Money team wasn't playing this season. 32nd in the entire league, but we won 14 games this season. 14 wins is huge for this team. 119 goals scored. No one stopped us in the future. We're about to go on an absolute run right now. Claude Giroux, 57 points. Patrick Kane, 55. Jamie Benn, 42. Yeah, this team knows what it takes to win now. We're about to start adding 5 wins with every player we get. I might be a bit overconfident right now, and I wouldn't be overly surprised if we only won like 6 games next season after we add a new player. The New York Rangers are Stanley Cup champions, but we're going to win more than 6 games games, we're on an absolute heater, and the cash money team doesn't lose. So if the cash money team doesn't lose, how about you give me Sidney Crosby or Alexander Ovechkin? I would be fine with both of those players. The St. Louis Blues are an interesting team here because the majority of the core is actually under 34 years old, and the only players I can think of right now are Ryan Suter and potentially Nick Leddy. Now the St. Louis Blues have a handful of guys that are close to being over 34 years old. Like Justin Falk is 33 now. Brayden Schenn turned 34 last season, so he's actually not older than 34 years old. Torrey Krug turned 34 last season, so once again, he's not older than 34 years old. And when it comes to Nick Leddy, the guy who I thought we were going to be bringing to the team, he actually just turned 34 years old as well. So we're going to be passing up on Nick Leddy, and instead we're bringing the oldest player to the team in Ryan Suter. He's definitely older than 34. Bro turned 40 years old last season. He's sticking around the NHL, but unfortunately, he's only an 80 overall and he's not his prime self. So Ryan Suter is going to be joining the second pairing, and that's now completes Ryan Suter and Robert Bertuzzo. In the future, you better be playing third pairing minutes for me, because if we have worse defensemen than you two guys right here, we could be in some trouble. Now, I'm sad to say, but Ryan Suter's not going to be bringing a ton of wins to the team. A 13-68-1 record, 150 goals scored, 1.83 goals per game. That's not terrible, but for the cash money team, we know we have to be better. Patrick Kane, 53 points, Claude Giroux, 49, Jamie Benn, 48. I might have to stop going over scoring here because it's always these top three guys. Patrick Kane, Claude Giroux, and Jamie Benn, they're always leading the way here. And then when it comes to goaltenders, 99% of the time it's Sergei Bobrovsky, but that 1% of the time, James Reimer's doing his thing here. The Carolina Hurricanes are going to be Stanley Cup champions, taking down the Dallas Stars. I'm really looking for a superstar here. We've added a lot of great depth pieces to the team, but we need ourselves a superstar such as Sidney Crosby, Alexander Ovechkin. I would even take Anze Kopitar and Drew Doughty. Just give me an elite player. One elite player, regardless of position, would be a massive upgrade for this team. And unfortunately, this team right here is not going to be giving us a great upgrade because we already have two goaltenders. Jacob Markstrom, you would have been an amazing goaltender, but we're kind of set in the goaltending department right now. Now, I'm incredibly disappointed because I didn't realize that this would be the result. But Jacob Markstrom, I already knew for a fact that we couldn't go with you. You're 35 years old. We already have two goaltenders here. We can't be doubling up on goaltenders when we haven't completed our forward and defensive cores. Now, the next player on the New Jersey Devils that is over 35 years old is Jake Allen. Once again, we can't go with a goaltender here, so we're going to be passing up on Jake Allen. So who are we going to be adding to the team? Justin Dowling. I have no clue who you are. I have never heard of you before, but you're 35 years old. You are the only 35-year-old we can go with on the team. We are bringing a 75 overall with AHL top 6 potential to the team. That's tough. Yeah, so I'm sorry, but I just cannot get gassed about this. Yeah, we got Justin Dowling. Wow, I'm so impressed that we have a 75 overall with AHL top 6 potential on our third line. What can I do with that information, and what can I really do with you? You're the same overall as Ryan Reeves. Yeah, I don't really know what we do here. We're going to have two 75 overalls in the fourth line in the future. That's not good. That is not good at all. Like, this third line right now, truthfully, is not that good either. Like a 75 overall, 82, 75. Yeah, we need Sidney Crosby desperately. Now, would you be surprised if I told you after adding a 75 overall to the team, we're only going to win 10 games this season? We did lose 8 in overtime, so that is a good sign, and we did score 2.17 goals per game, but we won less games this season, so that means we're going to be trending in the wrong direction here. That's not what the cash money team does. The cash money team scores goals and they win games, and right now, we're not winning games. Dowling did pick up 28 points though, 18 goals, 10 assists, so I can't really complain too much with what he did. He actually held up his end of the bargain. Sergei Bobrovsky, he was putting up numbers this season. His goals against is almost below 3. Meanwhile, James Reimer, I need you to be better here. Like a 2-27-1 record just isn't it. But I know exactly who could fix this team. One man can turn this team around, and that man's name is Sidney Crosby. Or Alexander Ovechkin, he would also be a great pickup. Or Kopitar, or Drew Doughty. We've been through this. There's a lot of players who could have a significant impact on our team. The real question is, are we going to be walking away with one of those superstars, or are we going to be getting another 75 overall? Well, we're not getting a 75 overall because I know the Carolina Hurricanes have Jordan Staal on the team, but this isn't prime Jordan Staal we're talking about. Nope, we're talking about 2025 Jordan Staal. Now, I would like to apologize to one man in particular here. When I landed on the Carolina Hurricanes, I was immediately thinking of Jordan Staal. I wasn't thinking of Freddie Anderson because we can't add another goaltender to the team. However, we could add another defenseman. Brett Burns, you are definitely an option here. You are 40 years old. Why were you not one of the first players that came to mind? I have no clue, but Brett Burns is the guy we're going with. We're going to be passing up on Jordan Stahl, who's only an 83. Brett Burns is definitely the guy we're going with. Now, with the addition of Brett Burns to the team, our defense isn't looking too bad besides this 1-0 overall player. Once we're able to replace this guy, I think we're going to be ready for a Stanley Cup. Now, with the addition of Brett Burns, the defense is looking pretty solid here. We only have 1-0 overall left, so once we get rid of him, the defense is going to be looking elite. When it comes to the offense, though, yeah, we need some upgrades here. The second line's okay. I mean, we could definitely use some upgrades. The third line, not ideal whatsoever. And then we have the fourth line. At the end of the day, this team still needs a lot of work. Now, Brett Burns wasn't enough to save us here, but did we really expect him to save us? A 24-50-8 record. This team needs a lot of help. Defensively, offensively. The only thing we don't need help in is our goaltending, because I believe our goaltending set here. Sergei Bobrovsky, you're certainly the guy for us. I can rely on you. When it comes to the rest of this team, there's very few players I can rely on. But shout out to Patrick Kane, Claude Giroux, and Jamie Benn for all having positive plus minuses this season. I certainly wasn't expecting that with how we performed. And Sergei Bobrovsky, 19 wins, 2 shots, a 914 to 341. Yeah, we have our goaltender. It's Sergei Bobrovsky. It was going to be Sergei Bobrovsky from the very beginning. That man's proven he's the guy here. The Tampa Bay Lightning are Stanley Cup champions. Enough yapping here. Let's get a superstar. Like, give me Sidney Crosby. Give me Alexander Ovechkin. I've been asking for these guys since the very beginning, and it looks like we're finally getting them. Sidney Crosby, welcome to the team. Now, this is going to be really quick here. Sidney Crosby, we all know we're going with you. You're the clear number one option here. 94 overall Crosby's joined the team. Enough said. Now, I've wanted Crosby on this team from the very beginning, and now he's finally here. He's going to play on the first line alongside Jordan Eberle and Jamie Benn. Patty Kane's been playing a lot of first line minutes for me, so maybe I should keep him on the first line. Yeah, Jordan Eberle, I'm actually going to play you on the second line alongside Claude Giroux and Anders Lee. I think that's a better decision that's going to benefit the team. So we added Sidney Crosby. He's going to be a game changer. He's going to save this franchise. We're going to pretend this season didn't happen. 22 wins. Crosby had 67 points. The Florida Panthers won the Stanley Cup. Let's spin the wheel. Yeah, so we're just all going to pretend that didn't happen. We definitely didn't completely underperform. I thought we were going to get the Washington Capitals there. Instead, we got the Montreal Canadiens, and I don't think Montreal's given us a superstar here. They're a very young team. We're not walking away with a 90 overall player. I can tell you that for free. Now, I'm not going to lie, this is actually kind of funny, but there's only one player on the Montreal Canadiens that we can actually go with here, and his name is Carey Price. Yeah, so we're not going to do that. So we're just going to remove the Montreal Canadiens from the wheel, because I'm not bringing 70 overall Carey Price to the team. That's just not happening. So let's go ahead and spin the wheel again here. Maybe we can land on the Washington Capitals this time. Nope, we're getting the Vancouver Canucks instead. So we're going to be going with the Vancouver Canucks instead of the Montreal Canadiens, and the player we're going to be bringing to the team is going to be defensive defenseman Tyler Myers. He's going to be joining the team at an 84 overall. He's going to play some good second pairing minutes for me. When it comes to our third pairing, though, I think it could use a little bit of work. And if I'm being honest, I think we're lacking another defensive superstar. I mean, at the end of the day, do we even have a defensive superstar here? No disrespect to Jared Spurgeon or Matthias Ekholm, but I wouldn't classify either of you as a superstar. Now, we're going to have a right defenseman play on the left side of Tyler Myers, but I'm perfectly fine with that. The defensive core is complete. Matthias Ekholm, Jared Spurgeon, Brett Burns, Tyler Myers, Ryan Suter, Robert Bortuzzo. You guys are going to have to carry the way for me. And when I say you guys, I mean Bortuzzo and Ryan Suter specifically. These are the guys we're relying on. Now, you know what happens when Robert Bortuzzo and Ryan Suter are leading your team? You don't finish dead last in the entire league. The Compton Cash Money team, a 29, 42, and 11 record. We are no longer the worst team in the NHL. It's a glorious day. We're even outscoring teams here. We outscored the Ottawa Senators, and we outscored the Utah Hockey Club. We are not complete and utter frauds anymore. And on top of outscoring teams, Utah allowed as many goals as we did. They don't have 0 overalls, we do, and we're about to replace the 0 overall with our next wheel spin. Sidney Crosby 80 points, Patrick Kane 63, Jamie Benn 58. The boys are absolutely rolling here. Goaltending's looking pretty solid from Bobrovsky. James Reimer wasn't too bad. He actually had 3 shutouts this season. Shout out to James Reimer for picking up 3 shutouts and 9 wins. He was locked in. The Tampa Bay Lightning are Stanley Cup champions once again, but that's going to be the Cash Money team sooner than later. Like, the boys are absolutely rolling right now. Nothing's going to be able to stop us, except maybe landing on the Anaheim Ducks, because we're not going to get a great player here. I mean, Alex Killorn isn't terrible, but he's not a 90 overall. Now, the more I'm thinking about it, I'm surprised that we don't have some more higher overalls on this team. Because, like, when you think about the teams that are out there, we should have some higher overalls. Like, Nashville would give us a pretty high overall. The LA Kings would give us a pretty high overall. When it comes to the Anaheim Ducks, Alex Killorn might be our best option here when it comes to a forward. 82 overall. I don't think Ryan Strome is older than 35. I'm very confident Ryan Strome is not older than 35. So, yeah, Alex Killorn's our best option here. I guess, technically, Rako Gudis is 1 overall higher, but we don't need more defensemen here. We need some more forward help. Okay, I'm officially very concerned with this team. Look at this fourth line right now. A 0 overall, Dowling and Ryan Reeves. We cannot win with this. We likely aren't going to be able to win with our third line either. Like, our bottom six is atrocious. This needs a lot of help. Now, the Compton Cash Money team is having some problems here. This team is known for winning, and we haven't been doing a lot of winning recently. Like, we almost have a complete team here. Like, we're about to add one more forward to the team, and then we have a complete NHL team, and we're still third last in the entire league, a 33-41-8 record. Unless we bring in like Anze Kopitar or Alexander Ovechkin, I don't really know who's going to be the difference maker for this team. I don't know who's going to be able to turn this team right here into Stanley Cup contenders. Sidney Crosby, Patrick Kane, Claude Giroux, Jordan Eberle, y'all just aren't enough here. This team isn't good enough. Bobrovsky's doing his thing. He's actually been really good for us. Like, a 913 and 293 is actually insane with the team we have in front of them, because we're not that good. We basically don't have a bottom six here. The forward core is kind of questionable. The defense isn't that great. As I said a couple spins ago, outside of Bobrovsky, this team needs a lot of help. Now, you know what? I'm not even going to ask for a superstar here. How about you just give me a really good player? The Nashville Predators have a handful of really good players that we could select, but unfortunately, we're going to have to pass up on a really elite defenseman. Now, I really want to bring Roman Josi to the team. Like, he'd be a superstar defenseman that could help change this franchise. However, we can't go with Roman Josi here because we need another forward. We desperately need a forward on this team. So, Roman Josi, I'm going to be passing up on you, and instead, we're going to be going with Steven Stamkos, 87 overall sniper. He's going to immediately jump onto the first line for me. He's going to have a career season with us. So we finally have a complete team of NHL players. Sidney Crosby, Patrick Kane, Steven Stamkos on the top line, Jamie Benn, Claude Giroux, and Jordan Eberle on the second line. I have no issues with our top six here. I have a lot of issues with our bottom six, though. We have 275 overalls, a lot of low 80 overall players here. Yeah, I don't feel confident right now. When it comes to the defense, it's not terrible. Spurgeon, Matthias Ekholm, Brett Burns. We're putting Tyler Myers on the second pairing. The third pairing's a little bit weak, but you know what? Bortuzzo and Suter are going to lead the way for us. And then when it comes to goaltending, you already know what we're rocking here. It's Sergei Bobrovsky's net, and it always will be. Now, I can describe this season in one word: luck. We got so incredibly lucky towards the end of the season. We went 7-3 to finish off the year, 17th in the entire league, a 42-34-6 record. We shouldn't be in the postseason right now. Our team is not good enough to be in the postseason. We had a negative goal differential here. We barely had anyone with a positive plus minus. Sidney Crosby 86 points, Patrick Kane 77, Steven Stamkos 75, Jamie Benn had 43 points and was our fourth highest scoring player. Yeah, we definitely shouldn't have made the playoffs here. Sergei Bobrovsky 34 wins, 5 shots on 914 to 287. You're absolutely locked in. Shout out to James Reimer, 8 wins and 1 shutout. He held up his end of the bargain here. We're going to be sneaking into the postseason, and we get the Winnipeg Jets in the first round. We get to go against Connor Hellebuyck. That's great, but just wait one moment. This is postseason Hellebuyck, so we actually might have a chance here. We're dropping game number 1 and game number 2. Are we about to get swept? No, we aren't. We're going to steal game number 4 away, but can we steal game 5 as well? It looks like we can. Okay, can we steal game number 6 as well? Because if we can make a 3-0 series comeback here, that would be ideal. All we have to do is win game 7 now, and are we going to be able to do that? We're going to be dropping that one 6-4. It's a heartbreaking loss. If you're wondering why I didn't jump into it, we had won 3 straight games in a row. I wasn't messing up the momentum, but maybe I just should have jumped into it. We're going to be dropping it 6-4. Crosby had 11 points in 7 games. He was pretty solid here. Patrick Kane 8 points in 7 games. And then when it comes to Sergei Bobrovsky's numbers, I mean, what can I really expect here? A 900 save percentage, a 354 goals against. The team's just not good enough quite yet. Now, I don't think it's going to take too many more additions here before we're taking over the NHL. The Vegas Golden Knights are actually a really good team. They have a handful of older players on the team. There's a handful of options we can go with. Okay, I'm not going to lie to y'all. I was kind of banking on Mark Stone being a little bit older. He's only 33 years old right now, so we can't go with him. But instead, we can go with Alex Pietrangelo, and he's actually going to be a huge upgrade to our defense. Now, off the rip, you might notice that we have Ryan Suter in the lineup over Robert Bortuzzo, and the reason we're going with Ryan Suter is he's technically a left defenseman. We need a true left defenseman on the team besides Matthias Ekholm. Brett Burns, you're going to have to play out of position on the left side. That's just the way it's going to be around here. But Alex Pietrangelo, you're now a number 1 defenseman, and I'm going to rely on you heavily here. Now, I'm not going to lie, this is actually pretty funny. So last season, we finished the season out going 7-3. What did we do this season? We went 3-7 to finish out the year, but somehow we actually ended up higher in the standings. 13th in the entire league, a 41-33-8 record. Nah, we're chopped around here. What are we talking about? We don't even have a point a game score. Sidney Crosby only had 77 in points. The plus minus numbers definitely look better this season. So Sergei Bobrovsky might have had the greatest season of all time. 30 wins, 6 shots, a 911 and a 279. He was him. What can I say? James Reimer was a really solid backup for us. I wasn't expecting those goaltending numbers, especially with the record of this team. Like, our record was not good. Let's not try to pretend we had a great record here. We're not a good team. We didn't have a good record. I don't expect anything in the postseason. We're going to lose to the Dallas Stars. Like, let's not start glazing mid here. This team is incredibly mid. We're going to lose in the first round. It's going to be a first round exit for the boys, but we've won back-to-back games. If we can win 3 straight games, we actually might have a chance of moving on to the second round. We lost 7-0. Yeah, we're not even jumping into this elimination game. We're not winning it. We lost all momentum in this game right here. We weren't making a comeback. When I see a 7-0 loss in a critical game, you just know your team has absolutely no momentum moving into the next game. The series was already over before we got to the end. Sergei Bobrovsky, you posted an 876 and a 402. You have to face a little bit of the blame here. You were an absolute fraud in the playoffs. Like, what happened? Now, we really don't have that many NHL teams left. Like, we only have 9 left on the wheel, but we're going to be landing on the best of these 9. The Washington Capitals, Alexander Ovechkin. You have to save this franchise. So nothing has to be said here. This is basically the exact same as Sidney Crosby. Ovi, welcome to the team. Enough said. Now, through bringing Alexander Ovechkin to the team, we're going to be moving Steven Stamkos down to the second line. I actually want to play some left wing minutes. Claude Giroux, you can be our centerman. And then by moving Steven Stamkos down to the second line, Jamie Benn's going to be moving down to the third line. That's going to give us some more forward depth here, and we've been lacking this for a long time. This is the only thing we're looking at this season. We are looking at one thing, and it's the Pacific Division, as the Compton Cash Money are going to be finishing dead last in the Pacific Division. A 35, 37, and 10 record. We're moving on. Like, I'm sorry, but how on earth did our team just finish dead last in the Pacific Division? We are not that bad of a team. We're landing on the Boston Bruins, but we are not that bad. The Cash Money team needs a bit more respect put on their name. Now, when we landed on the Boston Bruins, I was having a hard time thinking of a player that would be 35 years old on the Bruins. And the reason for that, there isn't a 35-year-old in the Boston Bruins, so we're not going to be selecting anyone from the Bruins, and instead we're going to be spinning the wheel again. Now, we better be careful here, because there really isn't that many teams left on the wheel. It looks like we're going to be landing on the Philadelphia Flyers. Philly's in the middle of a rebuild. I don't expect they're going to have anyone over 35. Now, I shouldn't say older than 35 years old, because they just need to be 35 years old. You have to be older than 34. But when it comes to the Philadelphia Flyers, there is no one over 34 years old. So once again, we're not adding anyone from Philly. So we're down to our final 6 teams, and I'm not going to lie, I am getting very concerned here. Victor Hedman, I don't know how old you are, but I feel like you're the oldest player on the Tampa Bay Lightning, and you might be one of our loan options. I guess there is Cam Atkinson too. Safe to say we're not going to be walking away with a forward star here. Now, Tampa is not going to help us whatsoever, so we can't go with Victor Hedman. He just turned 34 years old, so he's not going to meet the requirements for today's video. Ryan McDonough, on the other hand, he does meet the requirements, so we're going to be going with him over Cam Atkinson. Yes, Cam Atkinson would be a really good player for our 4th line, but he's only an 80 overall. I think the defense could use a bit more help. When it's a 5 overall jump between the defenseman and the forward, I feel like we just have to go with the higher overall player, and that's going to be Ryan McDonough. Now, moving forward, I actually have a lot of confidence in our defense. The lowest overall being 84 Tyler Myers. The defense is set, the goaltending is set, but what isn't set on this team? The forward core. Really, outside of the top 6, this team's not looking that great. We missed the playoffs last season. That better not happen again. Alright, for the first time in history, we're not even going to finish the season out here. We're not making the playoffs. Let's not waste our time. Let's spin the wheel. Like, we're really going to miss the playoffs again here. This is beyond ridiculous. And you know what? I don't think we're going to spin the wheel anymore. I think we're just going to add the best old head from each team, because this is beyond ridiculous. We have 5 teams left to choose from, and we've missed the playoffs twice in a row after making it in 2 straight seasons. How have we collapsed like this? Bruh, ain't no way. This man Sidney Crosby had 92 points, and we still couldn't even make the playoffs. What are we talking about here? Well, we're already off to a fantastic start. When it comes to the Colorado Avalanche, who's the best player that we can walk away with here? Well, that's going to be Eric Johnson, 81 overall. You're not even a high enough overall to jump to our lineup, so we're not going to be selecting you. Now, when it comes to the Columbus Blue Jackets, we're not going to be getting a superstar, but at least we're going to be walking away with a player here, and that player is going to be JVR. He's an 81 overall sniper. I think he's going to fit on the 4th line. I'm actually not 100% sure. I mean, I should take that back, because we're going to be adding a player from the LA Kings, and it's going to be Anze Kopitar. So yeah, JVR, you're actually not jumping into the lineup, because Kopitar is going to be playing over you. Now, we're getting desperate here, so you know what? I don't care if Logan Couture didn't play last last season. I don't care if he's officially retired. He is an 85 overall, and he can help this team. So we're going to add one more player to the team, and the final player is going to be from the Winnipeg Jets. However, they're not going to really help us here. Luke Shen, you're the last player we're going with. Do I even add Luke Shen to the team? Like, we don't need him. He's only an 82 overall. He's not even going to play minutes for us. So I guess the 3 players that we're going to add to the team, Logan Couture, Anze Kopitar, JVR. We've missed the postseason for 2 straight years. Not only do we have to make the playoffs here, but we have to win a Stanley Cup because this is the last dance. All right, it's the last dance. Alexander Ovechkin, Sidney Crosby, Jordan Eberle, I want you on the top line. Patrick Kane, you're going to be the playmaker for Anze Kopitar and Steven Stamkos. Jamie Benn, Logan Couture, Claude Giroux, play your role here. Do not let me down. All I'm asking for you guys to do is not let me down. And then the 4th line, just do your thing. I need everyone on this team to play the role. It's our last chance to win a Stanley Cup. Don't let me down in the final video of NHL 25. Nah, this is honestly the perfect way to finish off NHL 25. The Cash Money team is 10th in the entire league, a 46, 29, and 7 record. We should be better than this. Everyone knows that we should be better than this. Crosby, 91 points, he was great. Ovi, 83 points, including 40 goals, he was great. Kopitar, 66 points, Claude Giroux, 56, Steven Stamkos, 54. It only makes sense that we get let down one more time in NHL 25. Jamie Benn's picking up 30 goals because that makes so much sense. Bro is playing 3rd line minutes for me, and he's picking up 30 goals. Sergei Bobrovsky, the numbers aren't looking that great. A 903 and a 291. What are we doing here? Like, this is the final video of NHL 25, and you know what? This is the perfect ending. We're going to lose to Vancouver and Thatcher Demko. NHL 25, Thatcher Demko needs to beat me one more time. It only makes sense. NHL 25, Thatcher Demko just needs to beat me one more time. It only makes sense for us to lose here. Demko's going to put on an absolute masterclass. After losing the first 2 games, we're bouncing back in back-to-back victories. We're going to win game number 5 as well. Can we close out in game 6? Or is Vancouver going to be taking us down? Well, they're not going to be taking us down, but they still are going to be winning the game. Game 7 elimination. The Cash Money team taking on the Vancouver Canucks. Thatcher Demko can let me down one final time here. We're going to be exchanging goals with Vancouver in the first period. Moving into the second, they're going to be taking over. We're about to lose to Thatcher Demko one more time in NHL 25. It only makes sense. Honestly, this is the perfect way to end NHL 25. Like, when you think about the greats that we've seen across NHL 25, Thatcher Demko is at the top of that list. Thatcher Demko was an absolute dog from day 1 until now. And in the final video of NHL 25, Thatcher Demko is going to show up once again. He's not going to show up for me, though. Thatcher Demko has never shown up for me. He always shows up when I'm playing against him, though, and he is an absolute dog. He's going to be taking us down once again here. I don't even know what to say. Like, I'm absolutely speechless. We lost to Thatcher Demko once again. NHL 25 Thatcher Demko. He's posting a 923 and a 241 in 5 years, maybe even 10 years. When we think back on NHL 25, one player is going to come to mind, and that player is going to be NHL 25 Thatcher Demko. Bro was an absolute god. There was something about Thatcher Demko in this game. He was truly unstoppable.